Hi, this is Alan Schimmel, DevOps.com, here live at ChefConf in Austin, Texas, joined by George Miranda of the chef marketing and product team and a key person in the Habitat launch. George, welcome.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So, George, we've written a lot. I think a lot of our viewers might have heard Habitat, open source project from Chef, very ambitious, far-reaching things, but if you could succinctly give our viewers a quick kind of level set, what is Habitat?
Yeah, I think that's a very complex question. But the TLDR, the briefest way to put it, is that Habitat is a way to holistically package everything that your application needs in order to run and ship it so it can run anywhere.
Right. So, the tagline I've seen is automating applications or something like that. If I messed it up, I apologize. And a lot of people are like, well, that sounds great, but what is automating applications does? And that is what you're saying. Here at ChefConf, Habitat is taking sort of center stage, literally, with keynotes and everything else. Any new news or announcements that you want to share with the audience that were here at ChefConf?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the announcement of Chef Automate, there will be support for Habitat. That support is not in at launch. However, very quickly you should be able to visualize your Habitat data the same way you can visualize your Chef and your Inspect data. And we see Habitat as a key part of any sound automation strategy.
Fantastic. And I know it's early in the conference. It kicked off last night. We here at almost lunchtime, day one. Any feedback yet from people, attendees? What are you hearing?
Absolutely. We've had a lot of folks that have used Habitat and find its approach very interesting. I think a lot of folks are starting to kick the tires and really starting to see what kind of applications can be run. Mm-hmm. I think we've yet to see anyone really run it in production or start to go that route. But so far, the reception has been extremely positive.
So, George, give our listeners a little bit of an exclusive. Where would you like to see Habitat a year from now?
That's a great question. I think the core component of Habitat is packaging up all of the dependencies that your applications need from glibc up. And it turns out that is a lot of surface area that's usually covered by an operating system. And applications need to access those different components. So what I'd love to see a year from now is to have that library of dependencies fully fleshed out and defined. And I think there's a good structured way for the community to help us build those. So I think a year from now, what we should see is a very rich development experience inside the Habitat realm.
You hit on something about community, and of course Habitat is an open source project released under Apache 2 license, I believe. And that begs the question of how much of Habitat will be driven by Chef versus the community, right? And how do you engage that community? Now, Chef is a company with a long, your pedigree is in open source, right?
Correct.
You come from the open source world. How do you envision that working?
That's a really good question. The open source community around Chef has been very vibrant and taking the product in directions that we never initially envisioned. I would love to see that happen with Habitat as well. I think once we start seeing specific use cases of things that are solved, we may see additional functionality that gets packaged in with the application as opposed to what's shipping today. There may be other angles, other things that we haven't thought of. And I would love to see those types of contributions. So as with Chef, whenever anyone builds a tool or has a PR to submit that adds additional functionality, absolutely, we'll look at it and we'll run with it.
Sure will. George, I don't want to take up too much of your time because you're going to wind up missing the great lunch they're serving here at ChefConf. But any last words for our audience or anything?
Yeah, I would say that Habitat's a really interesting project that starts with your application first and works its way down to the infrastructure. Chef starts with the infrastructure, works its way up to your application. The two meet somewhere in the middle. Compliance is necessary throughout the process, whether you're building applications or infrastructure. And so I think with the three open source projects that we have, Inspect, Habitat, and Chef, all three of those combined to form a pretty solid automation approach.
Very solid.
Yeah.
Okay, George Miranda, thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you for having me.
This is Alan Schimmel, DevOps.com here at ChefConf. and have a great day.